And what's really ironical is that wars are always fought by poor people on behalf of rich people. You don't think Rex would start a fight with next door's nursery and then do his own fighting, do you? What would be the point of that? Without property, the only fighting you'd ever be likely to see would be historical reenactment displays. Oh, there'd be disputes, sure. But real fighting? Wars? Well, I can't see it. Without property and money, there'd be no rent, or interest, or profit. Now, profit is the incentive that drives production in capitalism. So does that mean that in post-capitalism we'd all just starve? Profit is not the only incentive for doing things. It's not even the best. The best incentive is simple need. We'd make things because people need them. What the profit incentive does is different. It only produces to make money, so that some millionaire can make a quick killing producing things people quite often don't need, but are told by advertisers that they do need. It doesn't concern itself with need as such. So, if 1 billion people need clean water, but can't pay for it, the profit incentive finds no incentive. They just have to do without. With profit, there's also the risk of loss. So, there is a good reason to save money by producing cheaply, or shoddily, or to make things to fall apart so people have to buy them again, and then dispose of the waste as pollution because it's cheaper than recycling and reusing. With profit and loss, multinationals can dominate global culture with a sort of plastic uniformity that makes every town look identical and makes us eat the same cheap food and wear the same chain store clothes. Abolishing private property does not necessarily mean abolishing civilization, or buildings, or food, or culture, or hospitals, or cinemas, or personal identity. It just means abolishing a very old agreement that says that it's okay for a lot of people to do without anything at all, so that a few people can have too much of everything. Most of what we hold dear we could keep. Moving on from capitalism is not the same as going backwards. It's not about smashing anything, spray painting over our most precious beliefs. It's simply a matter of progress. It's about making the world better than it is now. It does involve a social revolution, certainly. The world's workers and dispossessed would have to stop fighting amongst themselves. They'd have to combine to overcome the minority owning class. And that is a revolutionary act. The rich won't like it, and they'll try to stop it, of course. But they're only 1 in 20, don't forget. And revolution is not a bad thing in itself. Just think of the computer revolution, the information revolution. Revolutions don't have to be violent even. It just has to be thorough and well organized. You'll say it won't work, I know that. You'll say it's impossible. It's against human nature, or some such thing. You're almost bound to think that. I did, at first. We've all been brought up in capitalism and taught that capitalism is natural and right and proper. But a lot of us don't believe it, and maybe now you can begin to see why. Remember Rex in the kindergarten and his little ideology lessons. Rex doesn't want anyone to think outside the box. Of course he doesn't. He doesn't want you to know there is an outside. He'll give you 1,000 reasons to stay where you are. Keep reading your newspapers. Keep signing the forms. Keep taking the blue pills. Well, you can do that if you want. It's your choice. The important thing is that I've tried to explain another argument so that at least you can see that you do have a choice. One thing you probably will agree on is that the world is not going to stay where it is today. It'll either get worse or it'll get better. Empires and economic systems have come and gone, and there's no reason to think that capitalism is the last station on the human journey. History doesn't stand still. Supposing that a society after capitalism is possible, but there's another station up the line. I'm not going to give you a fully worked out map of it, because I haven't got one. There's no point me telling you not to trust leaders, not to follow experts, not to believe what people tell you. If I then tell you to trust, follow and believe me, I'm not an expert or a leader or some religious visionary. But I and a lot of other people think that a post-capitalist society is possible, one based on equality, common ownership, controlled democratically, not by centralized governments, but by us, all of us, for the common good and for the good of the planet. I've nearly done. Is anything I've said really so unreasonable, so ridiculous, so obviously wrong, that you can dismiss it all out of hand? Replay this video and check again. If it's not unreasonable, what can you do about it? You can spread the idea. That's what you can do. Think about all the consequences and the implications. Work out a plan. Talk. Discuss. Organize. Get other people to watch this film, maybe. You don't have to start a war, and you don't have to do it all yourself. But you do have to do something, and soon, because we're on a road called history, and we've stopped at a station called capitalism, and there are people saying it's the end of the line, and there are other people saying it isn't. So there are only two things you can do now. Stay put, and maybe run out of steam, or move on past the station, see where the line takes you next. And if you decide to move on, there'll be others willing to move on with you. In the end, we all want the same thing. We all want progress, improvement, a better world. Working out how to achieve it, that's the only thing that matters. The rest is just kid stuff. Anyway, I'm not trying to really persuade you. I'm only trying to get a just class society of